welcome back to Mellow Vibes. I am Tiffany, creator of Mellow Vibes, and today we're talking about what to do when you're the reliable one. Okay, so if this is your first time here, my channel helps introspective, spiritual, artistic, wanderlusting freedom seekers work towards living the life that they desire and require for themselves, develop and share their gifts, become more self-aware and build stronger and healthier relationships with themselves and with other people. So if that sounds great to you, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and let's get into it. This video is sponsored by my website, Mellow Vibes, for evolution, identity, freedom, and authenticity. There is a lot to find here: classes, free resources, my podcast, of course, the YouTube channel, and you can check out so many interviews that I have with other people for podcasts, with another hypnotherapist. That was really great. Free resources, check that out. There is so much there for you to learn and grow, and for free. We also have the apparel section, which is on the Spring platform, used to be Teespring. There is a special sale going on today. I'll talk about it at the end of this video, but there's so much inspirational apparel that we have. You can check out my written works for some articles, my books, my ebook. Definitely read all of that. There's a lot of great information in it. And we can also look and book sessions. So read about what it's like to have a session with me, what you can expect, what not to expect, how effective hypnotherapy is, how effective life coaching is. And while you read through this, at the bottom of this page, you can definitely just book your session right then and there. So this is a topic I was thinking about for a long time, and I kept polling people if they were interested in this. But and then I actually found a video that was kind of on the same subject, and it was called "How Reliable Are You?" by LifeisaSpecialOperation. That's the channel name, and so I'll leave the link to that video below. But the video really talked about, it kind of gave examples of what a reliable person is and what a reliable person isn't. And it's people who do what they say they're going to do. They show up on time, they're punctual. They get back to people. Everyone says they are reliable, but are you really? And so they give a lot of good examples, but also, they made it clear, people who aren't reliable, it's not like they're not kind. It's just a lot of the times they said people who are organized tend to be reliable. People who are messy tend to be unreliable. People who are mentally fragile are not going to be reliable. And people who are reliable are mentally strong and they're grounded. And I can really agree with that, because I am someone who can recognize, when people don't know how to self-regulate and they're constantly going through things. We all know those people, and we all know they aren't reliable. And so I know from the creator's perspective for Life is a Special Operation, that they were talking about how important it is to be reliable. And while I do agree that you should be a reliable person, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but there is a problem with being overly reliable and overly understanding. And so that's what I want to talk about. That's why this is called F being reliable, because there have been many points where I was just like, F this thing, because this is apparently can sometimes be like a downfall or something you get in this box of being that person that somebody can always count on. And so I think my being reliable definitely has to do with not even just my being reliable. I think in general, people who are overly reliable and overly understanding of people, I think it has to do with obviously childhood experiences and traumas of wanting to be accepted. The wanting to be accepted, the wanting to be the person that isn't a problem. So I think that's where it tends to come from. But we also don't want to be taken advantage of either. You know, that's the importance of boundaries. And I don't know if I've gone into a lot of boundary setting in this on this channel. I might have, but it took me a long time to work on setting boundaries, and it's, you know, a lot easier to do with people that you don't know, that you're just meeting, but it's harder to do once you already have a relationship established, like with your family, like you know, with somebody that you see every day that you just grew up with, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I recognize that this isn't healthy for me, or I don't like this, and now I have to put boundaries in place. Like, that's a harder thing to do, but you realize that it's important, because if you don't, people are constantly trying to take advantage of you. And I'm not trying to say that people are bad, that it's an intentional thing that they're trying to take advantage of you, but they're just used to being able to do whatever, you know, with you, basically. And now you know, you're realizing, no, that's not okay. The other thing with being overly reliable and overly understanding is you realize that the same grace is never given to you, or very few times, depending on the people that you're dealing with. It's like that one time that you can't do something, you're automatically a demon. You're like, I can't believe you can't do this for me. Like, it's had this happen more than a few times, and that's really unfortunate. But it's like the other person literally can't even recognize that you've done things for them all the time. You've shown up for them all the time. You've been there for them all the time. And it's like, no, I really can't do this, or I don't feel like doing this because I want to take care of myself. Then it's like a problem. And you're, you know, labeled as selfish or whatever. So I think what's important to think about is, like, are you hurting yourself in the process? Are you not doing what makes you happy in the process of wanting to be the stand-up person for other people? You know, and this goes for work life and personal life. Yeah, I was talking more about personal, but like it definitely goes for work life, because I am that person. Like, I have a really strong work ethic. I always want to, you know, show up and do what I'm supposed to do. And there were many times, you know, I think a lot of people are like that. That's why there's so many like vacation days that are left on the table for people at jobs, which is insane. Like, user vacation days, that is exactly what they're there for. But I used to like want to come in when I was sick, because I was just like, I know but I have to do this. And it's just like, you have to take care of yourself. You can't just be that one person. And especially there are situations where you sometimes get into work and you're the one that they know that you can do this thing, or that oh, I asked the other person to do this, but they didn't come through, or I knew they wouldn't be able to do this. And it's like, oh, but you can do this, right? And it's like, don't we have the same position? Don't we get paid the same thing? Why is it acceptable for that person to not do something, but you can count on me to do it? Like, that's crazy. So so that's where you have to like set boundaries. Like, I understand that I can do this, that I'm good at this thing, but they need to learn how to do something, or I need to get a raise if I'm going to be doing more work than them and we have the same position. An example of this is my friend. You know, she's been at her job for 5 or so years, and she has felt like so guilty about leaving. She just got a new job. Congrats to her. And she was really like hesitant about it at first, because she's literally the only person who has been there the entire time, since like the beginning of this job starting, of this company starting. And she's like, I'm the day one, and I feel responsible because all, you know, so many places in that business are like kind of in shambles or unorganized. And it's like, that's not your responsibility. That's their job. You have people above you, and if they didn't get their stuff straight, that is not on you to figure out. You're not the one running the company. You're not the one, you know, the director. They're not paying you for that. So it's not your responsibility to take on everything. You know, she was like making herself sick. Like, she really couldn't stand being there. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when you're doing stuff that's not making you happy, when you're harming yourself in the process of trying to be the one that can be relied on, or you feel, you know, responsible for whatever, you know, it's a problem. And so also, when you behave responsible for other people, for their work, for their emotions, for whatever, like you hinder their growth. Like you are not responsible for someone else's emotions. And sometimes that's, that's still like something that is hard to just handle, because I am an empath, and so like I feel the feelings, and especially if we've talked about protecting energy, if I didn't do that for whatever reason, or if I forgot or whatever, it's like really hard to be like, sometimes you may want to give in because you're just like, okay, well now they're upset and I feel that upset, or they're disappointed and I feel that, but like that is not your responsibility. And I think that was one of the best things I ever heard. I think it was when I was in college, so a long time ago, when someone said, it is, I don't know where or wherever I was, but it was like, someone said, it is not your responsibility, or they were talking about themselves. They was like, it's not my responsibility to worry about their emotions. Like, they have to take care of their own, just like I take care of mine. And I remember being like, that is one of the best things I've ever heard, because I always felt responsible for other people's emotions. And like that's really a problem if other people can't handle their own emotions. Like they need to figure that out. That is not for you. That's what I want to talk about with being like the overly reliable one, the overly understanding one, the overly understanding one. Like the understanding part that happens, or that has happened a lot, when it's like you set up something and then people cancel on you, and it could be a client. And that happened actually another day with a friend of mine who had a client, and they're like, oh, they asked me to move it, and so now I'm just like waiting around. They said they'd be ready at this time, they're not. And you're just like, but this is your time. Like you need to have those boundaries in place where you're just like, okay, but my time is valuable too, so I'm not going to be overly understanding with whatever's happening. Like I understand, but we need to take another day because I have other things to do. And so you kind of just set yourself up to be like walked on and thrown every kind of way, and then people expect you to just be that. And like I said, when you're not, then they're pissed. And so that's a problem. And so that's why it's important to have boundaries, and that's why it's important to recognize, the difference between being a good person, a good reliable person. I don't want to say good person, because like I said, if you're unreliable, doesn't mean you're not a good person. It just means maybe you're not in the place to be that. But the difference between being reliable, but the difference between, what am I saying? The difference between being reliable and the difference between being overly reliable. You can be reliable, but have your boundaries in place. Being overly reliable is not having your boundaries together. Let me know if you have had these experiences. Let me know if you're reliable or unreliable. That's also, like I said, it's a childhood trauma thing, actually, from like 2 different points, but like that's really a pet peeve of mine, and like a trigger. Like I can't deal with people who are unreliable. More so, I'm okay like with like friendships or acquaintances, whatever, but it's more so like relationships. Like anytime I saw like the first sign of somebody being unreliable, I was just like, okay, never mind, because it reminded me too much of a person growing up. And I'm just like, I can't, because I cannot trust what you say, because you literally don't do it. If it's like a Vampire Diaries quote, like your word means what. I think Elena had given Elijah she's like, you have my word, and he's like, your word means nothing until you live up to it. And so anytime somebody was just like said something but didn't follow through, I was just like, okay, never mind, because that bugs me so much. Like I need to know that you are somebody who's going to do what they say. If you can't do it, just say, I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I'll try it. But like, don't say I'm going to do it and then you just don't. Pet peeve. So yeah, let me know what you think. Again, if you're reliable, if you're unreliable. What situations have you had where you felt like maybe you were being taken advantage of because you were reliable? And if you're interested in working on setting up those boundaries, like go ahead and book a session with me at mellowvybes.com, and we'll get into like some life coaching, some next steps. Also sign up for my mailing list at mellowvybes.com. It would be on the pop-up that pops up on the page to the left. And so when you subscribe, there'll be different notes from me, different like a monthly newsletter. And I'm like getting distracted by a car pulling up. I know who that is. And special discounts on products and stuff that I have. There is actually a special sale going on today on the Mellow Vibes Spring page, which was Teespring, now it's Spring. And it's today only, which is December 16th. So I'm really trying to get this video up today. And so if you use the code SUPER10, you can get 10% off of my products at the Mellow Vibes Spring platform. And of course, if you are subscribed to my mailing list, you get 10% off all the time. So that's it for today. Don't forget to like and share this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace and mellow vibes. In life, you go through things, and it's up to you to decide if you're gonna let it break you or make you into who you're meant to become. That's real.